Welcome to Computers 101. In this episode, you will be introduced to your computer and the basic components that makes it useful. Here is your monitor. This acts like a television, but it has more useful graphics and functions. Some monitors have integrated cameras, but if your monitor doesn't, it's okay. You can always buy a camera and clamp it onto the top, or if you have an extended back, you can always set a camera in front of you. Now, let's talk about the tool that's in front of your monitor. This is called your mouse. Here's a closer look at your mouse. This is how you would typically hold your mouse. The mouse is used for multiple functions, but most importantly, it is used to make a selection and to control your pointer. The index finger is typically laid on your left button, and then you have your right button where your middle finger would normally be placed. And you always have the wheel in the middle, which helps you to stroll throughout items and everything. So when someone typically say click your mouse or select, they normally mean your left button, which is your index, is lying on. If someone says right click, the right click will allow for you to bring up extra menus and extra options that will be given to you through your right click. But we'll discuss that later on in another episode. Take your time and look around at your mouse. And if you are left-handed, there's always ways around reversing everything for you so that you will be able to use the mouse. But the mouse is typically held the same way, be it if you're right-handed or left-handed. And as I stated before, the mouse is typically used to help you to make selections and to control your pointer. And here's a better look at your pointer that we were speaking about with the mouse controls. If you want to know exactly as far as what selection you're going to make or you're about to make a selection, the pointer is what you will be looking for in order to make that selection. The pointer has different shapes and different functions to each shape. As you can see here, the normal selection is like an arrow pointing upward with a slight angle. Then you have your help select. You're working in the background which is like the hour clock, the time showing you that okay, it's thinking. And then you also have the busy one where it's no pointer at all, and it just has the hour time on it. And you have your precision selection or your text selection, which that is typically called like your cursor, but we will introduce that later in another selection. You have your handwriting pen, depending on what you're trying to do. This says it's unavailable, so that means you cannot make a selection at that point. You have your vertical resize and your horizontal resize, and that will allow for you to open up certain windows or certain, it could be pictures depending on what you're working on at the time. And so it could be self-explanatory, but if you don't know, then it's okay to ask additional questions. You have your diagonal resize, and these are your resize options. You have also your move pointer, where it allows for you to move a certain object from one point to the next. And all of these will show you as far as like an indicator of what function you have available to you. Take your time, and you can look at the pointer chart, and if you have any questions, let me know. The other component that is very, very important in order for you to utilize the computer efficiently is your keyboard. The keyboard have multiple functions to it. But I just wanted to walk you through. You have your case lock key, which makes sure that that you're able to capitalized. You want everything capitalized? Okay, you hit that key and everything will be capitalized. Instead of you having to hold down the shift key, which is, down below, if it's right below and you see an arrow pointing upward, that's your shift key. And that allows for you to uppercase your letters or to capitalize any letter. And so instead of having to hold down your shift key for each letter, you can just click on the cap lock key. You have your escape key, which can be used to take you out of certain apps, or it can stop a certain function if you're working on the internet. You have your tab key. Your tab key can be used for you to move throughout a document or move throughout a page quickly without having to work your mouse or to use your arrows or anything, your arrow keys or anything like that. Then you have your function keys. The function keys are typically used for if you have a little more advanced skills. So right now you don't really have to deal with the function keys, but if you want to go a little farther into learning more about computers, those keys are very, very useful. Let's go up top. The next keys that I want to discuss is your backspace key, which it is what it says that it is. The name is backspace, so it allows for you to go back or delete certain items that you probably just typed or you just want to get rid of. Then you have your delete key. You have your delete key acts same way as the function of your backspace, where it just deletes certain items. But the backspace goes back and delete key goes forward. So you're deleting what's in front of the cursor at that time. Then you have your return key. Your return key allows for you to return back to the main point of your document. But it can return back from the end. Like if you're typing a sentence, like I said, we'll work with this later on in a different episode. But I just want to more so introduce you to the key that you will be using at that time. So when I say, okay, hit your return key, that is what I'm referring to. Then you have your arrow keys, what I was speaking about before in reference to your tab key. The arrow keys can be used in order to navigate throughout certain items in Windows. The shift key is very important because I'm sure you want to place a space in between each word. And so the shift key is important for that. A shift key can also be used for a matter of selection, depending on how you go about doing that, as well as the return key. The return key is typically called an enter key. So they say, okay, hit your enter key, then that's what they are referring to. Now, the proper way to line your fingers up on the keys. I'm going to start with your left hand. You would typically place your pinky finger on the A. Then you would take your ring finger, place that on the S. Your middle finger of your left hand you would place on the D. And you would place your pointy finger on the F. Now let's go for your right hand. Your right hand, let's go for your index finger will be placed on the J. The middle finger is placed on the K. The ring finger on your right hand is placed on the L. And your pinky is placed on your semicolon key. Your thumbs are in place so that you can press your space key. So every letter is basically made available, and you have to get a little familiar with it, but practice is where it's at with you to be more familiar with where the keys are located and just how fast you will be able to type with your keyboard. Take your time and look around. I just want to introduce you to the universal sign, which is a very, very important symbol. But this is the universal symbol for a USB. This USB is important because it allows for a lot of devices that are made to connect to your computer that is accessible to you and through like a plug and play type of method. But a lot of devices are made with this connector in mind. But your computer will only be able to take this connector if you have the USB port. So it depends on as far as the compatibility with your, if you have a newer or a younger, or older computer, in order to use this USB. But for the most part, I think you'll be okay. I think each computer will have this USB port. And here is a USB port. This is definitely the wave of the world now, and this is what everyone is going into, because it makes everything simple. It makes, you don't have to go out and you don't have to purchase a lot of software. You don't have to purchase a lot of different equipment in order for your computer to have different type of functions that you might need. Like, for instance, a microphone. What if your computer didn't come with a microphone? You can use this USB, connected microphone, so that it'd be a plug and play. And I'm sure you're familiar with it. I'm sure you've seen it around, but you wasn't quite, sure of what it was. But this is what it is. And another symbol that you should definitely be aware of is the universal sign for power. This will be everywhere now. So it doesn't matter where you look. If you see this symbol on any electronic device, or anything for that matter, this is your universal sign of power. So if you haven't done so already, push your power button to turn on your machine.